In the realm of the gods, there lived a titan. His name was Prometheus. He was different from the others. He cared about the mortals below. While the Olympians feasted, he watched humanity struggle. He saw their pain. He felt their hunger. It moved him in ways the other immortals couldn't understand. Prometheus walked among the humans. He listened to their stories. He heard their prayers. Their resilience amazed him. Their creativity inspired him. But their suffering broke his heart. He knew they deserved more. He believed they could be great, if only they had the right tools. The other gods laughed at his concern. They are mere mortals, they said. Why waste time on them? But Prometheus couldn't ignore the humans' plight. He saw their potential. He dreamed of their future. And he knew that to reach it, they needed help. Divine help. The kind of help that could change everything. Prometheus made a decision. It would cost him dearly. But he didn't care. He would give humanity the greatest gift of all. He would steal fire from the gods. He would bring light to the darkness. And in doing so, he would change the course of history forever. The Titan's heart raced with anticipation. The die was cast. There was no turning back now. Prometheus knew the risks. Stealing from the gods was no small feat. It required cunning, it demanded courage, and it needed perfect timing. He watched and waited. He studied the routines of Olympus, every guard, every gate, every moment of vulnerability. He committed it all to memory. There were many versions of how he did it. Some say he snuck into Hephaestus's forge. Others claim he took a spark from Zeus's lightning bolt. A few whisper that he tricked Helios, the sun god. But all agree on one thing. Prometheus was clever, he was determined, and he was unstoppable. The night of the theft arrived. Prometheus's heart pounded, his palms were sweaty, but his resolve was iron. He moved like a shadow, silent, unseen, past sleeping guards and watchful eyes, closer and closer to his prize. The divine fire glowed before him. Its warmth called to him. Its power terrified him. With trembling hands, he reached out. The fire leapt to his touch. It danced in his grasp. Hot but not burning, alive but contained. Prometheus turned to flee. Every second counted now. Discovery meant death, or worse. He ran through the halls of Olympus, down the mountain, towards the world of men, carrying hope in his hands and doom on his heels. Prometheus raced to Earth. The fire flickered in his grasp. It was eager to be free, to spread, to grow. He found a group of humans, cold and huddled in the dark. Their eyes widened at his approach. They had never seen a Titan before, never witnessed such radiance. "I bring you a gift," Prometheus said. His voice shook with emotion. "The power of the gods, the key to your future." He held out his hands. The flames danced between his fingers. The humans gasped. Some backed away in fear. Others leaned forward, drawn by curiosity and hope. Prometheus taught them how to use the fire, how to tend it, how to spread it. He showed them its many uses: warmth in the cold, light in the darkness, a tool for cooking, for crafting, for creating. The humans' eyes shone with wonder, with gratitude, with the dawning realization of what this meant. As the flames spread from hand to hand, village to village, Prometheus felt a surge of pride and fear. He knew what he had done. He had given humans the means to challenge the gods, to shape their own destiny. The fire of creativity, of progress, of civilization burned bright. But so did the fire of rebellion, of defiance. The die was cast, and the consequences would be severe. Zeus discovered the theft. His rage shook Olympus. Lightning crackled around him. Thunder boomed with his every word. "Find Prometheus!" he roared. "Bring him to me!" The gods scrambled to obey. No one dared face the king's wrath. No one except the thief himself. Prometheus didn't run. He didn't hide. He stood tall and proud. When the gods came for him, he went willingly. He knew the price of his actions. He was prepared to pay it. Zeus glared at him from his throne. His eyes burned with fury, with betrayal. "Why?" he demanded. "Why would you do this?" Prometheus met his gaze. "Because they deserved it," he said. His voice was calm, unwavering. "Because they have the potential for greatness. Because they are worth it." Zeus's face contorted with rage. He couldn't understand, couldn't fathom why anyone would risk so much for mere mortals. The punishment was swift and brutal. Zeus ordered Prometheus chained to a rock, exposed to the elements, tormented by an eagle that would eat his liver each day, only for it to grow back each night. An eternal cycle of agony. "Let this be a lesson," Zeus thundered, "to all who would defy the gods." But even as the chains bound him, Prometheus smiled. He knew he had won. Humanity had fire, and with it, the power to forge their own fate. Section 5. Chained to eternity, Prometheus's daily torment. The rock was cold, unyielding. It dug into Prometheus's back. The chains bit into his flesh. But these were nothing compared to what was to come. Each dawn brought new horror. The eagle's approach, its talons, its beak, tearing into him, devouring his liver. Again and again, Prometheus screamed. He couldn't help it. The pain was beyond anything he had ever known. It consumed him, blinded him, made him wish for death. But death never came. He was immortal, cursed to endure this torment for eternity, or until the gods decided otherwise. Yet even in his agony, Prometheus found strength. He thought of the humans, of the fire he had given them, of the potential he had unleashed. It gave him purpose. It gave him hope. It allowed him to endure what would have broken lesser beings. Days turned to weeks, weeks to months, months to years. Centuries passed. The world changed below. Civilizations rose and fell. But Prometheus remained, chained, suffering, yet unbroken. His defiance became legend. His resilience an inspiration to gods and mortals alike. Some whispered that his punishment was too harsh, others that it wasn't harsh enough. But all agreed on one thing: Prometheus was extraordinary. Section 6. A hero arrives, Heracles and the promise of freedom. Time passed, the world changed, new heroes arose. Among them was Heracles, son of Zeus, champion of mankind. His labors took him to the edges of the world, and there, chained to his rock, he found Prometheus. The sight moved him. Here was a being who had suffered for humanity, who continued to suffer. Heracles approached. Prometheus looked up. Hope flickered in his eyes. For the first time in millennia, "Who are you?" he asked. His voice was hoarse from screaming, from disuse. Heracles stood tall. "I am Heracles," he said, "son of Zeus, and I have come to free you." Prometheus couldn't believe it. Freedom after so long? It seemed impossible, but Heracles was determined. He had faced monsters, conquered impossible tasks. This would be no different. He readied his bow. The eagle approached, as it had done countless times before. But this time was different. Heracles' arrow flew true. The eagle fell. Its reign of terror ended. Prometheus felt a weight lift from his soul, but the chains remained. "Can you break them?" he asked. Heracles nodded. He gripped the chains, muscles strained, metal groaned, and then with a sound like thunder, the chains shattered. Prometheus was free, but would the gods allow it? The real test was yet to come. Section 7. Breaking the Chains. The Rescue of Prometheus. Prometheus stood on shaky legs. Freedom felt strange, alien. After so long in chains, could he even remember how to live? Heracles watched him carefully, ready to catch him if he fell. But Prometheus found his strength, his resolve. He had endured too much to falter now. "Thank you," Prometheus said. The words felt inadequate. "How do you thank someone for ending an eternity of torment?" Heracles nodded. He understood. It was the right thing to do, he said simply. But both knew it wasn't that simple. Zeus wouldn't let this go unchallenged. His wrath would be terrible. As if summoned by their thoughts, the sky darkened. Lightning flashed. Thunder rolled. Zeus's voice boomed across the heavens. "Who dares?" he roared. "Who dares defy my will?" Heracles stepped forward, unafraid. "I do, Father," he called back. "I have freed Prometheus. His punishment was unjust. It ends now." Silence fell. The world held its breath. Would Zeus strike them down? Would he punish Heracles as he had Prometheus? The tension was unbearable. And then, unexpectedly, Zeus laughed. It was a sound of grudging respect, of resignation. "Very well, my son," he said, "but this is not over. The fates must have their say." And with that, the storm cleared. Prometheus and Heracles exchanged glances. The battle was won. But the war? That was just beginning. Section 8. The Fates convene, Judgment and Destiny. The Fates gathered, Clotho, who spins the thread of life, Lachesis, who measures its length, and Atropos, who cuts it at its end. They alone could overrule Zeus. They alone could decide Prometheus's ultimate fate. The Titans stood before them, proud, defiant, yet humble in the face of their power. "Prometheus," Clotho spoke. Her voice was like the whisper of thread being spun. "You stole fire from the gods. You gave it to humanity. You changed the course of history. What say you in your defense?" Prometheus took a deep breath. This was his moment, his chance to explain, to justify. "I did it for love," Prometheus said. His voice rang clear and true. "Love for humanity, for their potential, for their future. I saw what they could become, what they needed to grow, and I couldn't stand by and watch them suffer, not when I could help. The fates listened, their faces unreadable, weighing his words, judging his heart. Lachesis spoke next. And your punishment? Was it just? Prometheus hesitated, then nodded. It was harsh, he admitted. But I knew the risk. I accepted the consequences. I would do it again if I had to. Atropos raised her shears. For a moment, Prometheus thought this was the end. But instead, she smiled. Well spoken, Titan, she said. Your fate is sealed, but perhaps not as you expect. Section 9. Prometheus Unbound. A new chapter begins. The fate's decision was unexpected. Prometheus would be free, truly free, but there was a catch. He would bear a reminder of his punishment, a ring made from his chains, set with a stone from the mountain where he was bound, to wear always, as a symbol of his sacrifice and his triumph. Prometheus accepted gladly. It was a small price to pay for freedom, for the chance to see what humanity had become, what they had done with his gift. The fates nodded, satisfied. Go, they said, your destiny awaits. And with that, Prometheus was truly unbound, free to forge his own path. He stepped into a world he barely recognized. Cities had risen where once there were only fields. Machines roared where once there was silence. Lights blazed in the darkness, rivaling the stars themselves. It was overwhelming, terrifying, and absolutely magnificent. Prometheus felt a surge of pride. This was what he had fought for, what he had suffered for. But his journey wasn't over. There was still much to do, much to learn, and much to teach. Humanity had come far, but they still needed guidance, still needed reminders of their potential and their responsibility. Prometheus smiled. He had work to do, and for the first time in eons, he was excited about the future. Section 10. The Eternal Flame, Prometheus's Legacy in Human Hearts. Prometheus walked among humans once more. Not as a god, not as a titan, but as a teacher, a guide. He saw the wonders they had created, and the horrors. The fire he had given them had lit the way to greatness, but it had also burned and destroyed. It was a double-edged sword, as all great gifts are. He spoke to those who would listen, reminding them of their power and their duty. The fire is yours now, he would say. Use it wisely, create, innovate, but never forget the responsibility that comes with it. Some listened, others didn't. But Prometheus never stopped trying, never stopped believing in humanity's potential. In time, Prometheus became a symbol, a legend, not just of defiance against tyranny, but of hope, of progress, of the unquenchable human spirit. His story was told and retold, in books, in art, in the very fabric of human culture, each telling a reminder of what one being can do when they believe in something greater than themselves. And so the fire Prometheus stole continues to burn, in laboratories where scientists unlock the secrets of the universe, in artist studios where new worlds are born. In the hearts of all who dare to dream of a better tomorrow, it is the eternal flame of human potential, of creativity, of hope. And as long as it burns, Prometheus's legacy lives on. In every invention, every discovery, every act of courage in the face of adversity. The fire of the gods now belongs to us all. And the future, it's ours to forge.